Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, and we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin charts. So yeah, Bitcoin on the 4 hour. We were looking at it basically populating price action below this resistance. We were looking at a potential bull flag, but realistically we knew we needed closures above 42,000 for us to basically get the move up into the 40,000s, and the bull flag to potentially play out, because it needed to not just actually break the pennant on the short term time frame bull flag. It needed to obviously get above this very important resistance level. That was obviously going to be its main problem, but it didn't manage that. So we basically said if it doesn't do that, if it doesn't make its way above, then we're going to come and back test some levels, and that's basically what we've had so far. We have come back down to this $38,000 to $39,000 level, back tested it, currently getting a little bit of a bounce off it, so this is good to see. If this basically does get a follow through, finds itself back towards the top of this range, then that could be the forward check, the back check, and then the paycheck move that takes us through this very important resistance level, and onwards, potentially basically up to the next 46,000k level, 46,000k level, relatively quickly, if that is how it is to play out. Obviously that is not necessarily how it is to play out. We can still very easily not make progress back up towards 40k, come back down, lose 38,000, and then very easily come back down to around 35,000, $36,000 level. That would look, it would just look very normal within this sideways consolidation at these relative medium term lows. Here is the wider range consolidating within the top half of this wider range. Would certainly be good for the bulls, and then eventually we can consolidate, accumulate, and then break our way to the upside. We'll just extend this grey box along a bit as well, because this will obviously be a very important level, I think, because even if we don't make our way back up to 42 and break it, even if we don't hold within this 38,000 to $40,000 level, even if we basically break below, this would be a pretty important level for us to hold. We wouldn't want to be below this support level, because then we end up in the bottom half of this wider range, and then we start to obviously increase the probabilities of us losing the bottom half of this range. We'll extend this along as well, which would obviously give us some severe downwards price action. So that is what we kind of have to be cognizant of. Obviously everybody wants us just to catapult through 42k, 46, 50k onwards and upwards, 100k, etc. But I feel like we do need to be patient in this market. We do need to potentially consolidate trade sideways for a while longer. As much of that we can do above 35,000, 36,000 in the top half of this wider range, the better. We don't want to be in the bottom half, because then obviously we risk losing the bottom half level. Let's just sort this line out a bit. We then will risk losing this major support level, which is obviously just as important to the downside as 42,000 is to the upside. So yeah, it would be pretty disastrous for us. Well, disastrous if you want price to go up for us to lose this level. Obviously, if you're going to short it, then it's not going to be disastrous at all for you. So yeah, obviously it's a matter of perspective. But yeah, that is kind of what we're looking at. Obviously, we had the FOMC yesterday. With those guys, I mean, basically the market has reacted, if we go over to the DXY, has reacted in a fashion as to imply that the Fed is somehow going to tighten its policy, tighten its monetary easing and its free flow of money, and to attempt to fight the inflation that is clearly present. Even in the heavily manipulated statistics that they release. They are still hitting above the above basically the estimates, like above the top end range of estimates, and inflation is running according to their statistics very high. So they basically, the market obviously thought with something they said they're going to try and fight this, but I can tell you now they're not going to fight inflation. They're not going to fight it. They actually embrace. They like inflation. They like it going up. Inflation is basically a hidden tax. Inflation is basically not a hidden tax. It's a hidden tax for basically the most people, for the majority of people, but for the elites, and the super rich, inflation is actually really good for them, because their assets basically they have more assets to inflate, therefore they get a bigger chunk of that hidden tax basically. Whereas obviously when you have inflation and your input costs, say your food, your housing, etc., is a large portion of your of basically your expenditure, then obviously you lose out massively when things go up in price, if you don't have big massive assets such as bond portfolios or share portfolios or just super yachts or art or anything, or property, to then basically offset your actual increase in living costs. So yeah, they ain't gonna fly inflation. They don't want to. Two, well, I say they can't. They can increase rates, but we just know they're not going to do that. So expect this move to be faded. Obviously, it has moved up pretty viciously with a lot of momentum here. This is a major resistance level here. I would normally say we would struggle. Let's just extend this box a lot. We would struggle to break our way through this level, but on the basis we are coming at it, we are heading at it, into it, through it with such obviously apparent force, as you can see, or such what's the word? Momentum. That's it. We are hitting it with such momentum. There is every likelihood we do lose this level, and at which point we could obviously have targets within this range here. I wouldn't suspect we actually make it as high as taking out this high. I definitely wouldn't expect we get as high as here, but I do expect us to potentially break above this level, but come back in, maybe base around it, eventually lose it and come back down. Because believe me when I tell you, you can fade these moves. These inflation fighting, Fed's gonna fight the inflation moves in the dollar, because they aren't going to fight inflation, because they do not have the motivation to do so, and they I mean, and on a personal level, all those elite super rich, I mean, they don't want to either. And also, yeah, like I said, they don't want to basically crash markets. They just want to keep them hyperinflating in the Ludwig von Mises crack-up boom that we have been talking about for a long time on this channel. But yeah, so yeah, dollar index obviously having a bit of a pressure, bit of a move up. But yeah, like I said, this will top out somewhere, and expect it to be faded. I wouldn't expect it to get. Certainly wouldn't expect it to get up to the 93s. I definitely wouldn't expect it to get up to the 94s. I expect basically 92.5 would be an absolute max. But we shall see. I expect 92.5 would be an absolute max, and at which point, basically not putting a higher high relative to this high. That would be my view. I mean, there's in every likelihood this literally gets faded straight back down. Not in every likelihood, that is not the correct terminology, but there is a possibility this literally just comes straight back down. But just the velocity of the move, it obviously has potential momentum to obviously go higher, and then take a little bit of time to basically peter out and then come back down. So yeah, that obviously put a little bit of a dampener on markets, but remember, Bitcoin is classed as a commodity. It is not a currency, and if there is higher inflation, that is good for commodities, and like I said, the Fed is going to try and fight inflation. That is obviously not good for the prices of commodities, because obviously they should then, if the Fed successfully fights it, they should deflate. But like I said, the Fed can't successfully fight inflation. They can't, they won't, they can't, basically. So yeah, just there you go. Anyway, so Ethereum, Bitcoin, Satoshi parent, you can see, sorry, this is the wrong one. It was the right, did it not? Yeah, this Ethereum Satoshi pairing. This is looking weak here. Again, in potentially indication of a big move up in Bitcoin, about a big move in Bitcoin. And I think if I had to guess, it would be to the upside. But yeah, it does seem like we are consolidating into Bitcoin. You can also see this in the Bitcoin dominance. A bit of a potential ascending wedge here after the move up, but I mean, yeah, potentially this could break down here. So what that would, if this is to break down, what that would imply is that we are not going to take out 42k, and we are potentially going to trade sideways within this 38 to 42k level, or even potentially the wider range from 35 to 42. It kind of suggests more sideways in the range. So yeah, be aware of that before we start to get too punchy at if we do basically make our way back up towards this level. If we do make our way back up, I suspect we won't make it much over 40,000 before we do potentially come back down, because my current bias is for us to trade sideways, still within this wider range, and then whilst we're in this upper quartile, I expect us to basically stay there to be the most likely scenario. So maybe we do get up to 40,000, come back down, but yeah, either way we will be able to watch what happens. Obviously, you buy support, sell resistance, trade the ranges. You can see we're getting supported here. Do we make our way back to the top? And then if we do we confirm over 42? So it is not the most difficult thing to just analyze in real time. So yeah, there we go. Stock markets, as you can see, didn't particularly like the Fed tightening, as you would expect. But like I said, does anyone think the Fed is going to collapse these markets? No, they certainly don't. And as you can see, Nasdaq as well, holding up a bit better than the S&P, as you can see there. But yeah, so let's finally go over to those stochastics. As you can see, the 4-hour did have that very nice bullish reset. And we are still basically holding this upper level. So the 4-hour does get going. It can get us back up towards this resistance level. The 4-hour obviously wouldn't obviously have the power to break us through it, but yeah, certainly got the chance to get us back up there. These higher time frames though, if we are to break through, these will be the ones that we need to help us. But 10-hour, as you can see, is pointing down. 12-hour also pointing down. Daily looking to turn back down, but these higher time frames looking better though. So the 2-day, the 3-day looking better, the 5-day looking better, and obviously these still pointing down. So I mean, even though stochastic reads kind of tells me that we aren't going to break 42, and the higher time frame ones starting to turn up from a low level indicate that we aren't necessarily going to break down below 35. So that, I mean, that is obviously why I'm heavily biased towards just trading within this range. Be it this be the low here, this be the lower part, and we trade in this 38 to 42, or we do lose this level, and then we trade 35 to 42. But yeah, more sideways in this market, potentially on the cards. Obviously, if the dollar does reverse on a dime, then yeah, and then obviously that would be upwards impetus for Bitcoin. But like I said, I don't think with the momentum this move has, it is the most likely scenario is for, I don't think the most likely scenario is for us just to break back down, and then obviously once we take out this this resistance level, if anything, that is just going to be more impetus to the upside. So we are basically looking to basically find a high in this asset before normal business resumes, and we do have a good chance of taking out 42. That could be I mean anywhere between where we are now and say 42.5. We'd obviously have to be wary of putting in a new higher high relative to this high, but I don't think we need to particularly. That is not basically the likely scenario in my mind. I think we get rejected before 92.5 basically, but we shall see. We shall see, but I would expect to wait for this rejection, wait for this to peter out, and then wait for this to start coming back down before Bitcoin realistically has a chance of breaking 42. The wild card in this market, the wild card, is obviously Michael Saylor, and how, when, if, where he's going to buy his next half a billion of Bitcoin, and in such an illiquid market where so much Bitcoin is actually available to buy. Obviously there are OTC deals and people that are obviously trading that way. They are obviously available to him that we're not necessarily aware of, but that is nonetheless a big amount of a real buy, and that alone has the potential to break us upwards. But what I would say, this market certainly was having a savage, severe correction, and literally that buy just may be enough to basically hold this level, and then we start to move up with a more sustainable price action. And so you can have a look at it as he's going to buy and it's going to catapult us straight to nearly 100k, or basically what he has done is put a floor in this market here when we were losing major levels and looking pretty bad. I would just be happy if that he has put the floor in here, we can make our way above 42, and then just that can be the new the new macro low, and start to push on from there. I'll be happy with that scenario, but if it is to be that he is obviously going to catapult us upwards, I would obviously also be more happy with that scenario. But like I said, I'm happy with it. Just obviously if he is able to hold us here. So yeah, the wild card with Michael Saylor, and also there was another open-ended offering that he was looking at doing, or is doing, for up to $1 billion. So the guy is going all in. At the end of the day, with these sorts of figures and the cheap financing that he can get, I mean, he can pump this illiquid market, and he can hold this up, and he can sit and just take that Bitcoin out of supply and sit on it. Yeah, I think he really can do that in this environment that this asset trades in. So yeah, there you go, guys. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.